Imagine waking up to a knock and losing everything you ever worked for. Within seconds, the years of hard work, the struggle, the hustle, the dreams, all nullified by that single knock. Welcome to NewsMine. Today we're diving into the immigrant situation in the U.S., where hope meets fear. This isn't just about border control anymore. It's about what happens after people have already built lives here, paid taxes, raised families, contributed to the economy. Trump's new approach is harsher than ever, with a system that's faster, colder, and dangerously indifferent. July 9th, 2025, a new ICE memo started to surface that not made the already miserable lives of immigrants way more miserable. It revealed that now deportations don't just mean being sent back to your home country. Now, immigrants can be deported to a completely different country, sometimes a place they've never even visited. And in some cases, they're given as little as 6 hours notice. No time to call family, no chance to find a lawyer, just gone. The policy, pushed by ICE's acting director Todd Lyons, says migrants can be deported to third countries even if there's a known risk of persecution or torture. And they don't even have to ask the immigrant if they're scared of going there. It's not that the U.S. doesn't care, it's that they don't want to know. Because if someone does express fear, only then does ICE consider screening them. And even then, it's rushed. A 24-hour process that could mean life or death. This change came after a Supreme Court decision in June, which allowed the Trump administration to sidestep legal protections and speed up deportations. The court's ruling paused a previous order from a federal judge that had required migrants to at least be given a chance to argue their case if they feared torture or death. What's even more alarming is who this targets. It's not just recent border crossers or people with criminal records. This affects immigrants who've lived in the U.S. for years, sometimes decades, and built entire lives here. Some of them already had judges say that deporting them would be dangerous, and yet they're still being rounded up and sent away to places like Eswatini or South Sudan, countries with no real diplomatic ties to the U.S. and where safety can't be guaranteed. In places like California, immigrants are being detained after showing up for routine court appointments. Once arrested, they're moved to remote ICE detention centers operated by private prison companies. These facilities are overcrowded, lack proper medical care, and are far from legal help. People are detained for months without bond, with no clear end in sight.
They are essentially packed into cages, wall-to-wall humans.
That's because Trump's administration is also pushing to deny immigrants the right to bond hearings. If this policy holds, millions of undocumented immigrants will have to stay in detention while their cases crawl through the courts. Some cases can take years. Imagine being locked up that long without ever being convicted of a crime. Congress recently approved funding to detain at least 100,000 immigrants, a massive increase from even the highest numbers during the Trump or Biden years. The goal is clear: fill those beds and keep people in. More detentions, more deportations, less accountability. But this isn't new. Trump's aggressive stance on immigration dates back to the very start of his political career. Remember the speeches?
We will build a great wall along the southern border.
They're coming in illegally. Drugs are pouring in through the border. We have no country if we have no border.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists.
He called immigrants rapists and criminals. He talked about building a wall. He promised mass deportations and claimed only he could fix what he called a broken system. And once in office, he followed through. There were mass ICE raids in communities across the U.S. There was the infamous family separation policy at the border, children crying in cages while parents were deported without them. He even talked about ending birthright citizenship, despite the Constitution saying otherwise. One of the most talked about incidents during his first term was the deportation of Mauritanian immigrants. These were black immigrants from a country where slavery still exists. Many of them had been in the U.S. for over 20 years. They had families, homes, jobs, but that didn't matter. ICE picked them up and sent them back to a place where they faced racial discrimination, arrest, even torture. Then there was the tragic story of Casey Chadwick, a young woman murdered in Connecticut by a man who had already served time and should have been deported, but wasn't. Trump used that case to justify mass deportations and tougher laws, saying the system was broken and dangerous people were slipping through. But what got lost in the noise were the thousands of peaceful, law-abiding immigrants who were swept up in the process and deported without any media coverage at all. Fast forward to now, and things feel even more intense. Trump is back and he's doubling down. The tone is harsher, the machinery is faster, and the consequences are heavier. Meanwhile, lawyers and human rights groups are struggling to keep up. Courtrooms are flooded with emergency filings. Advocacy groups are protesting outside ICE offices. Whistleblowers within the government are resigning, saying they can't ethically support what's happening. One Justice Department lawyer even went public after seeing a Salvadoran man deported despite a court order protecting him. He said the system is broken, the rule of law ignored. And while all this is happening, millions of immigrants live in fear. Parents are afraid to send their kids to school. Workers are skipping hospital visits. People are hiding, staying off the streets, avoiding anything that might get them noticed. It's not just fear, it's paralysis. Communities are shrinking inward. Trust in the government is crumbling, and the American dream for many feels like a cruel illusion. The question now is, where does this go? Is America going to continue down this path of mass detentions, secret deportations, and legal shortcuts? Or will there be a pushback strong enough to stop it? For now, immigrants remain stuck in the middle, waiting, hoping, terrified of what comes next. One knock, that's all it takes. One knock and it's over. The land of the free or the land of fear? You decide. Kindly hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click the bell icon.